Welcome to the Lowland Catchup, and today I'm joined by Shaun. How are you doing, mate?
I'm good, thanks.
So we'll start with Saturday's games, Bonnyrigg Rangers versus Celtic Hearts at Shielfield Park. I saw Bonnyrigg recently, obviously, against EK. I was expecting a bit of a tight game since Bonnyrigg seemed to be doing fairly well or starting to gel, certainly. And it was fairly even, chances at both ends to begin with. Bonnyrigg were probably the closer with Ricky Miller's header hitting the bar. There was even a penalty shout for Bonnyrigg in the first half when Daniel Purves bundled over, but nothing was given. Yeah, half time, 0-0, very even. It was early into the second half when Celtic got a free kick and Scott Linton, as we know, hit it from 30 yards out to score a really decent goal. Bonnyrigg almost had an instant reply when Darryl Healy's header hit the post. Celtic were looking dangerous on the break, and they did get a penalty. Jack Cook was sent off as well for pulling down Nathan Austin. He did, that was his second booking. But Mark Walters saved from Nathan Austin, and the game finished 1-0 Celtic Hearts. Fairly decent for Bonnyrigg. Rangers, a really decent showing from them. Celtic, I think it's a game that I think could have went either way, and it could have easily been a draw on a different day.
I suppose it was a lot closer than I think Celtic would have liked it to have been, and for Bonnyrigg it's a step in the right direction. They didn't have the great start to the season. They've been looking a lot stronger on the field, although they need to pick up the points here obviously, but the fact that they took Celtic to right down to the wire, to be honest. Like you say, they could have pinched a draw there. I think they've got to be fairly pleased with their performance. We've seen this season what Celtic have been able to do to some of the teams lower down the league table, so I think they'll go away quite happy. And as for Celtic, I think they've picked up the 3 points, which that's the objective at the end of the day. It's always nice when you can score goals, but the main thing is you walk away with 3 points, and they've managed to keep a clean sheet there away from home, so I think they'll be a bit disappointed that it was quite a close game, but do you know what, they've came away with the 3 points, and they can't have much in the way of complaints as far as that goes.
I think the results coming for Bonnyrigg Rangers, certainly. Celtic Hearts coming off that result against Stirling Uni, where the first half I think they didn't really play very well. I think the most important thing was obviously getting the 3 wins in the league in the week, and that's exactly what they did. We'll move on. We'll go into Bonnyrigg Rose versus East Kilbride, a massive game at New Dundas Park. You were obviously there. Shaun, do you want to take us through it?
Yeah, I was through in Edinburgh, and as was pointed out, Bonnyrigg's not in Edinburgh, but I was in the area, so I took the trip down. I was torn between a couple of games, to be honest. I'm going to cover them both, but there was this game, and then there was the battle between the two teams sitting towards the bottom of the table that both looked really good, but I chose to go to this one because I thought it was it was a big game for Bonnyrigg, trying to keep a hold of their position at the top of the league that they've had for a good few weeks now. And for East Kilbride, I think it was a massive game for them. They've had a lot of criticism this year, and it was essentially league leaders versus reigning champs, so I thought this one looked like it was going to be a really good game, and to be honest it didn't disappoint. Early on, it was 30 minutes into the game before we saw the first goal of the match, and it was a ball into the box to Hunter, who looked like he was fouled, but it didn't matter. This Martinook was able to curl a peach of a right-footed effort past Martin into the top corner to give them the 1-0 lead, and that was the score at half time. Could quite easily have been a couple more in that first half, to be honest, if it wasn't for some really good goalkeeping from Alan Martin in the East Kilbride goal. East Kilbride not really offering much up in the first half in the way of chances. The second half, however, it was definitely the away side that started stronger. Around about the hour mark, Alan Martin had to make a tremendous point-blank save to keep it at 1-0 after a shot from Hunter. In the 75th minute, it sort of looked like East Kilbride had been given a chance to get back into it with a penalty shout, initially pointing to the spot before going over to speak to his assistant on the line, who said that it was no foul, with Weir getting a touch of the ball before the player went down, so that was overturned and East Kilbride weren't given the penalty. And then 81 minute, when there was a red card, it was Devlin that was fouled. The ref blew the whistle, but Reid followed up with a nasty challenge on Scott Gray and was shown a straight red, namely for the fact that it was after the whistle had blown. And shortly after that, around about the 85th minute, it was a tremendous individual effort from Jamie Devlin that was able to double the Rose lead and put the game to bed right at the end. And it was a peach just right in the top corner. Martin had been superb the whole day, but he wasn't able to get anything on it. And yeah, around about the 85th minute, that was the game put to bed, 2-0 to Bonnyrigg Rose. So they extend the gap over the reigning champs there at the top of the league.
Yeah, obviously a massive game for Bonnyrigg. Certainly I think most people were obviously happy. There was a bit of a surprising factor. I think a lot of the Bonnyrigg fans I heard say that the East Kilbride are obviously a different team from when they played them last season. Do you think it's over for East Kilbride now that they lost that game?
So many teams in the league that can take points that, I think there's a lot of teams that still have a chance, to be honest. Bonnyrigg have still got to play some really good teams, some of them twice, but they're definitely missing a little bit of something. You could tell that the individual efforts by a lot of the guys in that East Kilbride team, it was brilliant, but it was far too many wayward passes. They just didn't seem to be clicking, and they need to get back on that, because that's what they did so well last year. Like I say, Alan Martin, he was superb on the day. Shaun Winter, a real threat down the wing, but nothing was really connecting for them, and for their season to get back on track. So we're already a third of the way in, obviously. They've got a lot of good players in that squad. We just need to start clicking a little bit better.
Got a game in hand, but they're 11 points off Bonnyrigg Rose. They've not scored, a lot of goals compared to, the top four teams, half a shire, almost, and obviously they've conceded 11. I think East Kilbride, on paper they've got a really decent team, but I think there's still a wee bit of disappointment from the Cove playoff, I would say. That was kind of their chance, and they never got there, so they've came in this season with that bit of a disappointment. Last season, I think East Kilbride were clear favourites. Now you've got maybe 4 or 5 teams that there's, we can actually go out and win this. And I think East Kilbride have lost a wee bit of the fear factor.
Do you know what? It was a big game, and the conversation would be very, very different if East Kilbride had gone away with the 3 points, because that probably would have started them running towards the league title. But yeah, there's no getting away from the fact that the league is far more competitive this season, and East Kilbride were a very good side last year. They haven't seen much in the way of change this year, and perhaps they did need a wee bit more improvement to keep up with the likes of Bonnyrigg entering the league, who they've just shown what they can do against East Kilbride, and yeah, they were able to put that sort of to bed a little bit, whether or not the East Kilbride were going to be challenging this season. But like I say, it's just so competitive at the top of the to be honest, across the whole of the league this year, that anybody can take points from anyone, and it's hard to write anybody off. But yeah, they've definitely got a big task on their hands if they're wanting to get back on track. They definitely need to lift their heads. So it was a disappointment into the season, like you say, but they had a tremendous season, and they're a good bunch of lads, so they need to get that, put it behind them, and start focusing on moving forward, I think.
Well, obviously the top teams, the whole saying is they take it a game at a time, if you will. But I think if you're East Kilbride, you are looking at other teams and what they're doing. Certainly Kelty Hearts have, for example, have a lot of the top teams to play, including East Kilbride. Obviously they've got Shire coming up, they've got Bonnyrigg as well, they've got BSC, so there's going to be like the likes of Bonnyrigg and Kelty. There'll be points dropped there, either by way of draw or losses. I don't expect any of the two at the top currently, Bonnyrigg or Kelty Hearts, to run away with it. I know some people think that, but I don't see it like.
No, but you've got to give credit to Bonnyrigg as well. As much as it's a bit doom and gloom for East Kilbride, Bonnyrigg are an exceptionally good team, and they do have that chemistry. You could see the way they played together. They just they seem to know when they've got the ball, they need to know where the next man's going to be, or they seem to know where the next man's going to be in every instance. And they play off each other's energy, and you could feel that on the day. And to be honest, on the day, I think Bonnyrigg are going to be able to take points off of anybody, including your Kelty and Shire, who have put in a lot into the season, and BSC, who have had a really good start to the season. I think Bonnyrigg are definitely sort of the team to beat. definitely that Bonnyrigg Kelty game, both legs, I think is going to be huge this season, and you can't write off those guys that are sitting, third, fourth, fifth in the league, because if you do, they'll sneak up on the teams that are at the top of the league just now. But yeah, they were an exceptionally good side, Bonnyrigg.
Among the title challengers, I would say more now than ever, I think. We'll move on to East Stirlingshire versus Civil Service Strollers. Another massive game at Falkirk Stadium. Two decent sides, two teams that are, obviously trying to, as you mentioned, maybe sneak in a wee bit at the top. It was East Stirlingshire that won the game. The Strollers gaffer Gary Jordan did have 5 teenagers in his squad to face Shire yesterday. And they went with a wee bit of a different formation. I think they played 3 up front, from what I could tell anyway, because Josh Morris, Cammy Muirhead and Ryan Shanley all playing, which was a bit strange for a Stroller side. They usually only play with 1 up top, and I think Shire went a wee bit more defensive. I think they played 5 at the back, maybe with two wing backs, maybe Rhys Peggy getting further up. But anyway, yeah, it was a bit of a tactical game between both the managers there, I think. And it was Strollers that really took advantage early on. It was Ryan Shanley almost fired Civil ahead in the opening minutes after getting to the end of a Cammy Muirhead strike. The striker's first time effort looked sure to find the net, but Barclay in the Shire goal pulled off a superb save at full stretch. It was a fantastic save, actually. Really shows what Jamie Barclay is and how good a goalkeeper he is. But yeah, Civil again came close a few minutes later when Craig Newell went on a tricky run and broke away from the defender. His shot beat the advancing keeper but went inches wide of the post. Nicky Lowe then had a chance for the home side, but his effort from the edge of the box went over the bar. It was Josh Morris next to step up with an effort for Civil when he got on the end of a really decent chip from Muirhead, but his diving header beat the keeper but went the wrong side of the post. Strollers definitely on the ascendancy, and they finally did find the breakthrough when Craig Newell played a ball into the box that was flicked on by Morris to Jack Hodge. The youngster rolled the ball beyond the keeper into the net. The Shire claimed a penalty when Eddie Malone fell over in the box, but the referee really wasn't interested. I did actually see it. I saw the highlights, but I don't think it was a penalty certainly from what I've seen. With 10 minutes to go, Shire did draw level through Mark Miller's superb free kick on the edge of the box, curled into the corner, and Shire they kind of were on the ascendancy towards the end of the game. You kind of just feel that Civil were maybe just sort of trying to hold on, if you will. Shire went in front when Jamie Dishington got into the end of a corner that was whipped into the box. Dishington was quick to react, and his header found the back of the net. So yeah, Shire took the win there, and obviously they moved up to 4th. I thought this game was quite interesting because we're obviously going to be praising Shire a wee bit for seeing out the win. It's a team I saw really recently. Obviously, I saw their game against Vale Leaving on Wednesday. I think the interesting thing was, had Civil won this game, we might have been speaking about Civil being a team that could potentially be up there, but certainly Shire got the win.
I was just going to say that I think Shire still are a team that people will be talking about. To go to Falkirk Stadium and to be leading with 10 minutes to go, it's frustrating that they weren't able to hold on to the win, but it's a fantastic effort, especially with the 5 teenagers in the lineup there. But East Stirlingshire have just done what they should be able to do. They've brought in some big players, some guys who should be able to play well when the pressure's on and when they really need to. Struggled at points this season to do that, especially early on, but the more that the Shire teams coming into the season, the more they seem to be able to do what they need to do. And yeah, it was just a prime example there of them just showing their power a little bit, and Jamie Dishington seems to really be coming into his own a little bit within that squad now, because that's another goal for him, so he's having a great time there. But yeah, I think Strollers are still a team we need to, for a long time last season and a little bit this season, you kind of see them as a bit of the underdogs who are overperforming and hanging up quite high up in the table there. But at some point we've got to really start putting them in the same bracket with these other guys, because they're a brilliant outfit. They do really well under Gary, obviously, but going away to Shire this year it's not going to be an easy task. Certainly the more the season goes on, and they've done exceptionally well to to have taken it right down to the wire, and I'm sure they'll be hugely disappointed with those last 10 minutes as well.
Yeah, obviously Jamie Dishington, he scored 4 against Vale in their 6-1 win on Wednesday. Shire, for me, they're a bit of a strange team to watch, to be honest. I got that. I think it was similar to Civil. They play with such a bit of a kind of slow tempo, but it's very methodical out to the wings sort of play. I was certainly sort of, as I mentioned, obviously about their formation, I thought it was a bit, a bit different. I don't know what Dale or Andy were thinking there, but it's certainly different from what they've played. Obviously, it's done the trick. Obviously, getting the result against a decent Civil side. Yeah, they'll be hurting Strollers. They did do that to Shire last season. Obviously, they got the goal right at the end for the win. So a bit of revenge there for Shire. But yeah, as we mentioned, two decent sides, and it'll be interesting to see where they go from here. But Shire are certainly looking like they're starting to gel and maybe potentially sneak in there for to be contenders. We'll move on to Edinburgh Uni versus Gretna 2008. Do you want to take us through this one, Shaun?
Yeah, I think this was a really appealing a game, to be honest, like most are in the Lowland League, to be honest. But this one, because it was an important one for these two sides to sort of, these are two sides that are going to be competing to stay away from that drop zone this year. So it was a big 6-pointer, and in the first half of this one, it seemed very much like it played out as a game between two sides that were sitting at the foot of the table. Both keepers not really being called into action, and play being a bit sloppy in the final third. However, the second half seemed to pick up a little bit. Gretna were the first team to get the ball into the net, but it was disallowed for a foul on the keeper. Looked like it was a correct decision, but it's one of those that you have seen given in the past. And it took up until the 79th minute for us to see the first goal, and it was Edinburgh Uni. It was a big deflection, but the Uni side won't really care about that. It was Mark Waters who hits a free kick from 25 yards out, which deflected off the wall and left the keeper pretty helpless to give them the 1-goal advantage. With 10 minutes to go, they were probably hoping they could take the 3 points away. However, in the 85th minute, it was a goal for Gretna, and it was an unbelievable volley that flies into the net from 30 yards out, giving the keeper no chance to make it 1-1. Gretna shortly before that did have a shout for a penalty as well, but again it was one of those that you've seen given before, but the keeper said no, and the game ultimately finished 1-1 between the two sides. So they took a share of the points, and yeah, ultimately I suppose both sides will be disappointed not to take the points away, and it leaves Gretna at the bottom of the table, in Edinburgh Uni with 5 points, sitting third bottom. So yeah, huge game for both sides, but a share of the spoils in the end.
Yeah, just 3 points separating the sides in the league. Obviously Gretna do have 2 games in hand. It's on paper, obviously both teams would have wanted to win that, certainly. Edinburgh Uni are probably a wee bit more so, being at home, but you could look back and say it's probably a decent point for Gretna, because I think there was some talk like, we'll do them at Raydale Park sort of thing. So yeah, it's an old-fashioned sort of 6-pointer at the bottom of the league. Disappointing that there's not a winner there, but certainly I think the draw mattered kind of a wee bit more. Just not to lose the game, basically, was the objective, I think. Moving on to Gallifreydine Rovers versus BSC Glasgow at the Netherdale. BSC won 3-0 quite convincingly. I think it's pretty much what me and Derek expected, what our thoughts were last week. It only took 10 minutes for BSC to go off the mark. Michael Anderson picks up a loose ball and it hits the line before crossing in for Thomas Collins to hammer home. Thomas Collins obviously on fire at the moment for BSC Glasgow. 4 minutes later, on the 14th minute, it was great work from David Mackay on the left wing. He finds Tamor, who takes it past the defender and pokes home past Fraser Morton. There was a few tackles just before half time by Gala, which BSC weren't happy about. Kind of became a bit of rough and tumble. Gala did sort of change up in the second half. They kind of got more into the game, but it was pretty much killed off on the 57th minute. Corner comes in, finds Thomas Collins, who tries a low drive, which Tam Orr turns in to make it 3-0 BSC. And 15 minutes to go, Tam Orr hits the post for BSC, and then Gala go up the other end and hit the bar. Pretty convincing win from BSC Glasgow, obviously another team that you expect to be in contention, especially with obviously after the Bonnyrigg result. Fantastic from BSC Glasgow, but pretty much what we expected for them to do that. But fair play, obviously Nidderdale's never an easy place to go.
Yeah, it became a really strong side over the last sort of season and a half, capable of just going out and doing what they need to do. Like you say, that Bonnyrigg game was huge for them. Nidderdale's not an easy place to go, and they've gone down there and they've won pretty convincingly. So BSC are one of those sides that, you know, it's always a bit quiet with BSC, but you could see them sneaking up there, and they're going to be one of the toughest sides to play against this season as far as consistency goes. There's a lot of teams out there that win purely because they have spells where they're just very good, but BSC they seem to be consistent from start to finish, week in, week out, and yeah, it's another 3 points for those guys, and they're, you know, sitting quietly in that third spot, just I suppose either waiting for one of the teams around them to slip up, or waiting for them to have a stab at one of those teams around them. So no, really good for those guys. And yeah, Gala at home, that it's a game they would have wanted to win, but BSC are a very good side, and their main thing will be just lifting their heads and looking forward to next week and getting back on track, because they've not had the worst start to the season. They've had a relatively good one after what was a bit of a ropey pre-season for them. So I think they'll be okay with that result. It's a tough ask when BSC come to town. I think our last 3 fixtures, I think all 3 of these you could probably categorise as upsets to a point, and the first of those was Spartans. 10 minutes in, when there was a shout for a Spartans penalty, as player Atkinson was put into the box, but his shot was deflected behind. Some calls for a handball shout in the penalty box there, but nothing given, and the game remained at 0-0. After a further 25 minutes, it was the Caledonian Braves that were forced to get themselves on the score sheet, with Neil McLaughlin culling it into the top corner with a lovely finish to give Cali the 1-0 lead. Went into half time 1-0 to Cali, and 15 minutes into the second half it was Cali again on the score sheet, and this time it was David Winters who was able to slot home to double the Cali advantage over Spartans at Ainsley Park. And 15 minutes after that it was another Cali goal, and this is one that I'm sure most of the listeners have seen on social media, similar to their goal of the season contender last year. It was 20 passes that made up their third goal, culminating in an easy tap in from close range to give David Winter his second and the Cali Braves their third. And then right on the stroke of the 90th minute it was Dean Hoskins with a header to give the home side a consolation goal, but full time 3-1 to Cali Braves. So yeah, I think there'll be a lot of disappointment for Spartans, because, you know, at home that's a game that they should win pretty much every time. Usually pretty solid at home, and for Cali they've been a team that you just don't know what to expect. They either come out and they have a game like they have done on Saturday there, or, you know, it's a bit of a shock result the other way where they're dropping points to teams that they probably shouldn't be. But yeah, they take 3 points away in this one, so I think they'll be quite happy.
Gaffer, 3-1 win today at Spartans. How do you feel after that?
Obviously feel really good. Try not to get too down on the games we don't play so well. Try not to get too happy when we do well. But I think it was there for everybody to see that you know, we were a better side. We passed and moved the ball about really well. But what was pleasing, taken from Thursday night, and we had a real chat, as I said before the game, and a real kind of practice of, you know, how we deal with certain situations, which cropped up today. And they dealt with it really, really well. Disappointed with the goal. I do think it's a push. I'll need to watch it again. But overall, I'm really pleased. I would like to keep that momentum going into the next couple of weeks. It's just, obviously we don't have league games coming up in the next couple of weeks. We've got to wait 3 weeks for that. So.
How important is it getting wins against Spartans, who are a team round about the same as the table at the moment? So
no, it was important. Three points. Spartans are a good side, some good players. I know they've lost a few in the summer there, but they've added quite well as well. For for me it was a huge result against them. For that reason, if they had won, they would have went above us with a couple of games in hand. So it was important that we got our 3 points, and the boys certainly did, and they deserved it.
Just looking at the 3 goals, 3 quality goals again, you know, how good is it that we are when we are scoring? It is quality that we're coming up with.
I back the guys to create chances, and funnily enough, before Neely's goal, we didn't have a lot of chances. We huffed and puffed, but our defensive shape was really good, and I thought we could have maybe countered them. And but Neely pops up with a bit of quality, and that's what he does. And obviously Davy, the goals that we scored, you know, we watch them back. They're good goals. No many teams score them type of goals against us. I was really delighted, especially with that third goal.
So, like you said, we've got a wee break from league action again next week with the South Challenge Cup. Musselburgh visit Alliance Park. What's your thoughts ahead of that one?
I think we need to keep our momentum up. I think we need to kind of keep working on and how to get better. It does give me a chance to sit down individually with the guys and go through certain areas of the game that I would feel that we can improve them on. So it does give us that opportunity as well. But we won't take Musselburgh lightly. We'll make sure we're up for the game, and again we're looking to progress in terms of performance-wise.
Just the last wee one, just another one in Craig Quinn. I thought he was excellent when he started today, his first start for the club as well. What do you think of his performance?
I thought he was great. I really did. I picked him out in there in front of the group because he's played one game on a Tuesday night against the academy lads, the 23s. And he came here unfit in terms of he had an ankle injury, and he's been patient, he's never chapped on the door, he's worked hard in training, and steadily you can see I'm getting fitter. But I spoke to him the other week there, said the reason I'm not putting you in because you're no match fit yet. And I watched him train the other night, and he was paying attention to what we're trying to do, and I thought I was just fling him in. In my head I thought I might have got 45-60 minutes, but he lasted the 90, and his performance and his positive performance got him through the game.
Yeah, it was a surprise actually. I gave Spartans the edge simply being at Ainsley Park, but Caledonian Braves, I think the one criticism of them is that they've not been able to get results against the top teams. Whether or not people think Spartans are still a top team, you know, that's a different debate from a different day, obviously. But no, fantastic from Caledonian Braves. Obviously, they done what they had to do. They were coming off that 5-5 result against Dalbeattie, a bit of a shocker, that one. I think the one takeaway from this is obviously Davy Winters. In amongst the goals, he scored 2 against Spartans, and he got the equaliser in the game midweek. So fantastic for Spartans. Obviously, it was a bit of a difficult one. Obviously, the travel up on Monday for the Scottish Cup game against Everinvale. Obviously, they were on a bit of a buzz getting through there, but I think Adam Corbett was suspended, so they were missing their captain. He was obviously a big loss, but you can't take anything away from Caledonian Braves. And that goal, their goal last season was my goal of the season, and I actually think this one against Spartans was better, so we'll wait and see if that's my goal of the season at the end of this season. So we'll move on to University of Stirling versus Dalbeattie. This one was a bit of a shock at Fourth Bank. Dalbeattie, you know, obviously we mentioned they drew 5-5. Caledonian Braves, a bit of another shocking shock for an away fixture. I expected Caledonian Braves to win, but no, in fairness, they went out and won 3-0 against University of Stirling. 2 goals before half-time really put Dalbeattie Star advantage there, and Calvin Cowie rounded off the fantastic result on the 73rd for Dalbeattie to win 3-0. We'll hear from Chris Geddes. Obviously, he wasn't very happy speaking to David Chandler.
Well, Chris, I think that's what they class as a bad day at the office.
Bad day at the office, yep. No pass marks apart from a couple of the subs that came on. Really disappointed, and just, disappointment.
It was a game that I would imagine in the build-up, you were looking at the table and the two teams have always been close to one another. You probably thought it was something you should get something from this game. Yeah,
listen, I believe in my team. Even after today's result, I think we're a better team than Dalbeattie, but fair play to Dalbeattie today, they were excellent. I think it was more we played poor, but they took their chances well, and some of their players were outstanding today, especially like Lee Wells and that in midfield. He was best player on the park by a mile. And the disappointment thing for us was to go from the 2 performances we've put in against 2 of the top teams to today, where Vinnie Parker in the Dalbeattie goal, I think he had 2 saves, but that was it. We didn't test him enough.
It was a game of few chances. What do you think was the difference between the two sides?
We were flat and they weren't. Their coach had them well pumped up for it. He's a good guy, and it sounds silly, but I'm happy for him because he's a good guy. But I'm sure you've seen it, the people watching, we were just so flat today. There was no spring, there was no spark, our touch was poor, our basics were really poor. And when your basics are really poor in a game of football, then you're going to struggle, and we did.
How do you lift the players going into the next game after a performance like that? What do you say to them?
Well, I'll be honest, there was some home truths at half time. Anyone who knows me, I don't shout very often at half time or full time, but I let them have it at half time, because for me it was unacceptable, the performance. Some of the stuff I was seeing was just basic stuff not being done well, and at the end of the game there, sometimes the home truths need to be said. It wasn't good enough today from us. For a team with such talented football players, the stuff we were witnessing there wasn't good enough, and we've got such tough games coming. We've got another game Wednesday, we play Northumbria at the start of the Uni League, so they need to get their head back onto that game sharp, because they're a very good team as well, so we need to go for it.
Chris, thanks very much.
No problem, David.
Yeah, I obviously want to thank David Chandler for that interview, and obviously Chris Geddes. I think he has every right to be disappointed. When I called this game with Derek, I did expect University of Stirling to go out and win there. Certainly, I saw them on Tuesday against Kelty. Certainly for that first half, they were fantastic. Really could have got something out of that game in the second as well, but obviously Kelty scored some fantastic goals in the second half. Yeah, complete disappointment. I don't know. If it's a case of Dalbeattie just being on their day, we have to give credit for them. I think Chris obviously sees it as University just not turning up.
You could turn around and say it's Dalbeattie having their day, but that's 8 goals in 2 games, and I think if you rewind a few weeks when we've been talking about Dalbeattie, it's been that they've got their depth, they've got some good players in the team, but they need to find the back of the net a little bit more, and they've done just that, and maybe they can kick on off of the back of this and build on these 8 goals over essentially the 4 or 5 days, because that's all they've been missing. They've been a really tough side for guys to go against week in, week out, but they've not been putting the goals away. Massive difference for them, and if they can continue that, they should be able to climb up the table a little bit, and if Dalbeattie can finish mid-table, that'll be an outstanding achievement for them in a league where it's got stronger essentially, and they were struggling at the foot of the table. If it wasn't for a really bad Whitehill side last year, they might not even be in this league. But outstanding. It's only a couple of games, but 8 goals from a side that have struggled to find the back of the net is outstanding, and they've not exactly been against teams that are easy to score against, University of Stirling or Cali Braves. So yeah, job well done for those guys, and yeah, University of Stirling be hugely disappointed being at home, and it's definitely a massive shock result, but they're a really strong side, and I think they'll bounce back for that. I think they'll be able to put it behind them, and Chris will get the team ready for their next fixture.
Yep, I was kind of critical of Dalbeattie in the last podcast. Obviously they had that disappointing loss to Vale of Leaving at home. You've got to give them a credit there for Richie and the lads really, just for going out the last 2 games and getting results.
Perhaps they played that criticism before the 2 games over the loudspeaker. That maybe was the difference there, so you never know, maybe you were that inspiration, but yeah, credit where credit's due. They've done outstanding the last week. I
don't think I'm that inspirational, to be honest, but in fairness, yeah, they've done fantastic the last 2 games, full credit, and they are looking pretty decent, and I think they're 11th, so yeah, 11th for 10 points. I mean, yeah, looking good for Dalbeattie compared to last season. If they can get a few more results, you never know. You might be right, Shaun. They could maybe go up to sort of mid-table. Certainly, that's where University of Stirling would like to be. I think it was just for them. Obviously, Chris has said it was a bit of a bad day at the office, but I'm sure he'll get on at the lads for that one.
Do you think it's too early to say that Dalbeattie are safe then? Third of the way into the season, but they've climbed all the way up to 11th. Obviously 10 points was plenty to keep you up last year, but there's a lot of sides that below them, they can take points from each other. Do you think they're safe, or do you think they need a few more points between now and the end of the year?
I think the ones you're looking at, for me anyway, obviously Berwick, we've mentioned them, they're below Dalbeattie. I think they'll start picking up. They've got 3 games in hand. If you're looking at them between the likes of Edinburgh Uni, Vale, leaving Gretna, I think they don't have anything to worry about, which is a bit of a surprising thing to say, since Vale leaving did beat them at Islecroft. But looking at the points and obviously what's went on, I think Dalbeattie, they can feel relatively comfortable at the moment, but certainly a lot of football still to be played.
The last game we've got to cover here, again another a bit of a surprise here, between Vale and Leithen, who welcomed Cumbernauld Colston to Inner Leithen. So it was on the half-hour mark that Josh Wishart was shown a red card for Vale after a last-man challenge on Fraser Team. So a Cumbernauld Colts side who have had a pretty decent start to the season, going up against Vale, who probably had a bit of momentum. Vale were down to 10 men. You'd expect Colts to capitalise on that. However, it was Vale who got the first goal, with Ali Smith giving them the 1-0 lead after 38 minutes, followed quickly by Liam Ireland, who got a second after 40 minutes. So at the half time mark there, it was 2-0 to Vale Leithen. 5 minutes into the second half, though, it was Ross Kavanagh with a Stephen O'Neill assist that gave Colts a goal back. And on the 78th minute, it was Richard Curvin with a Craig Holmes assist that basically it gave them their second of the game, and they were able to pinch out a point there. Now, obviously, I don't know how disappointed they're going to be. They've gone up against 10 men and only came away with the 1 point. However, for being two goals down, they've managed to come back, and Colts did have a goal in injury time disallowed after a push on one of the Vale defenders, so they could quite easily have stolen the 3 points right at the death there. But yeah, essentially it was a share of the spoils there in a game where you would have, I personally, I don't know what you guys said about it last week, but I would have expected Cumbernauld to have gone down to Leithen and came back with all 3 points. What were you guys expecting for the game?
I think me and Derek actually expected this sort of result. Obviously, Colts have been on a bit of a slide lately. That's twice in 3 games that they've been down 2-0 and they've came back. Obviously, the other one being against Berwick. I mean, you've got to give credit to Vale Leithen, to be honest. I mean, playing the majority of the game with 10 men. I know they've conceded 2 goals in the second half, but I saw them against Shire and we've mentioned factors. Obviously, they've got young players. I think they've got a tendency. It's hard to judge because obviously Shire are obviously the stronger team against them. But from what I saw, they have a tendency to overplay. I think it's just some of the younger guys, instead of going for the simple pass, they try something a wee bit fancy. They kind of lack structure against Shire. At some points, I noticed that they kind of lose the wee bit of formation. Maybe that's kind of affected them.
Yeah, I think you're probably quite right. I saw Vale when they went up against Edinburgh Uni, and it was a lot of the same. A lot of what you were saying there, struggling to keep their shape and just a lot of wayward passes. But just 2 weeks in a row that they've picked up points, and they've got their shell away for the foot of the table a little bit. So they'll be quite happy. And Cumbernauld have got to be a little bit worried because they're a side that you'd expect to have been up, maybe 6th, 7th in the league, and they're dropping down a little bit quite early on.
Yeah, well, Colts tend to struggle away from home. I think it's well known as well. But for Vale, they actually had a goal disallowed as well. So I mean, they could have been 3-0 up there from what I've heard. So. Yeah, a draw is probably a fair result given the circumstances. Vale would have been a wee bit gutted to lose it, I think, but lose the 2 goals, obviously. But with 10 men, it's always going to be difficult.
I think on the half-hour mark, if you turned around and said to Vale that they'd go away with a point, I think they'd have bite your hand off.
So moving on to next week's fixtures, we're back to South Challenge Cup action. Our first game that we're going to mention is East House's Lily versus East Kilbride at the new Battle Complex. East Houses have actually played East Kilbride this season. They got beat 6-2 in the Football Nation qualifying cup. They were doing pretty well up until half time, and then East Kilbride, as you would expect, sort of ran away with it in the end, but I would expect something similar on Saturday's game.
Yeah, no, I think so. It's a big one for East Kilbride as well, because they do need to start gelling a little bit, and it's an easier fixture for them, but you can't take any of these games for granted. They need to go out there, try and work a few things out, score a few goals, because that's always good for the momentum of any team. But yeah, I think they should go away for this one. They should pick up the 3 points, but I think it's an important game for them, even against a lesser opposition.
Blackburn United versus East Stirlingshire. These first 2 games that we're going to mention are actually on at 2:30 rather than the 3 o'clock as we're used to, because obviously the East of Scotland teams. It's at the Purdy Worldwide Community Stadium. What a name for a stadium there. I reckon Blackburn United, a really decent community side, we've mentioned it before, but I reckon I would fancy Shire in that one.
Yeah, I think so. I think they're just going to be a bit too strong, so they should be able to come back with a win. I would totally agree with you there.
Bonnyrigg Rose versus Freve Rovers at New Dundas Park. Freve obviously doing fairly well in the south of Scotland, obviously previously in the Lowland League. New Dundas Park, though, at Bonnyrigg, you would expect them to go out and get the win there. I would expect a wee bit of rotation, maybe some of the under-20s getting a game as well.
Yeah, I would think so. I think Bonnyrigg, they like to do well in all their competitions, to be honest, so I think they'll treat it fairly seriously, and yeah, I think you're correct. Trevere Rovers they're doing well down in the South of Scotland League, but I think it'll be a bit too much for them coming up to New Dundas Park, and I think Bonnyrigg again should comfortably be able to win that one.
Civil Service Strollers versus Kelty Hearts in the All Lowland League affair in the South Challenge Cup at Christy Gillis Park. I think it's always tough when you go to Christy Gillis Park. I think Strollers will be disappointed with the Shire result. I think Barry's really, he's not really changed a lot, even in cup games so far, so it really depends on what sort of team turns up, I would say, but I would probably give Kelty Hearts the advantage.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of boys came back for Kelty, so I think it gives them a chance to give some of those guys a wee bit of game time. Absolutely, and yeah, I think I'd give the edge to Kelty as well, but I think it's going to be a close one. I think it'll be the one, maybe 2 goals that's going to be the difference.
BSC Glasgow versus Gallifreydine Rovers at the Indodrill. Obviously just the opposite of the league game there, Gallo having to travel up to Alloa. Based on this weekend, I would give BSC Glasgow the advantage, given the fact that they've just beat them 3-0 away from home.
Yeah, I think so. I think BSC should be able to again win it quite comfortably. I don't think Gala are going to go in with that frame of mind. I think they'll be wanting to go and cause a wee bit of an upset, and they'll come out fighting. But I think BSC will be prepared for that, and I think they should pick up the win quite easily.
Caledonian Braves versus Musselburgh Athletic at Alliance Park. Musselburgh not doing too well in the East of Scotland Premier. Caledonian Braves off that fantastic result against Spartans. I'll give it to Caledonian Braves.
Yeah, you would expect Cali Braves being for the higher league to win this one, but they can be a bit up and down, so I'd still give, I think you'd have to be a fool to think that Caledonian Braves won't come away with the win, but it wouldn't shock me with how much of a sort of yo-yo season they've had so far if Cali were not to win this one, so they'll definitely need to get their heads down and make sure that they put in a strong performance in this one.
Cumbernauld Colts versus Jeanfield Swifts at Broadwood Stadium. We've obviously had the likes of Pennycook do well, obviously in the Scottish Cup, putting out Cumbernauld Colts at Broadwood. Jeanfield are a wee bit different this season. I don't think they're as strong. I think they're sort of mid-table in the East of Scotland, so it's hard because Colts have obviously had they've not been doing too well the last few games in terms of what you would expect in terms of results. I would still give them the advantage though.
Colts should win it at home, but I've got a feeling that there's got to be some upsets somewhere. I don't think all the Lowland League sides are going to have it their way, so if I kind of had to pick a game where there might be an upset, I think I'd go for this one, so I'd give the edge to Jeanfield. And
the last game, Spartans versus University of Stirling, another All Lowland League tie at Ainsley Park. It's difficult, obviously. Spartans beaten by Caledonian Braves at home this weekend, so University of Stirling, I'm sure Chris would get a reaction, but I still think Spartans will probably more likely to progress there.
Yeah, I think Spartans will win this one. They don't like getting beat at Ainsley Park. Nobody likes getting beat at home, but especially not Spartans. I think they'll go into this one. They'll have their captain back as well. I think they should win it quite comfortably. And University of Stirling, they're going to come and fighting, but I just think it'll be too much at Ainsley Park.
Right, moving on to plugs. I'll let you go first, Shaun.
So you can obviously find me on Twitter at Sped and Shaun. What about yourself, Chris?
At Rampant FM on Twitter, and obviously you can find the Catchup on Twitter at official Catchup, and obviously on Facebook by yourself, Shaun, the Lowland League Catchup. We obviously want to thank everyone for their support, everyone that listens, the players, the gaffers, the fans, people like George Fraser, the league that obviously support us. We'll be back. We'll see you soon.